Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to test and review the new Shiseido Self-refreshing foundation and also the concealer. I have seen that this foundation has been reviewed quite many times now here on YouTube, but the concealer is something I have actually never seen tested, so I'm very curious to see what it is like. As there is quite many new subscribers here, welcome. Just to let you know, my skin type is very dry combination. My cheeks, under eyes, eyelids are very dry. Also my whole face is dehydrated, and then my oily nose and chin causes different problems. And I have large pores, hyperpigmentation, redness, and today for some reason a few of these situations, but there's a lot going on, so foundation really needs to perform well on my skin. About these products, the foundation, there is 30 shades, $47 the price. The claims are that it's good for every skin type, which usually is not the way. On their website, interestingly, they mention that it's supposed to be humid resistant, weather resistant, oil resistant. So I'm a bit hesitant now because I have dry skin and I live in Finland. It's winter, it's cold, it's dry. We don't have humidity, we don't have any kind of heat. We have cold weather, sleet probably, or snow depending of the day. So I'm a bit afraid that this is too drying on me, but we'll see what happens. I'm priming my face with a Meteorite primer from Guerlain. This is the one I always use with foundation tests. I have used Shiseido foundations before. I love them. I have the original Sucre Skin and then the glowy version as well, so I have some kind of base of knowledge what type of products they usually do. The foundations usually tend to be those type of products that don't dry fully, that they are transferring, especially the glowy version of the Synchro Skin. It does transfer and it can be very slippery on skin. So these are not the foundations that are good for everybody, because I know many don't like that kind of formulas. The original Synchro Skin is more, it's not matte, but it's more kind of velvety finish. It does last longer, so it is interesting to see how this new foundation is different from the previous ones. The shade I have now of this new foundation is 130 Opal. And then the concealer, I have the shade Fair and also Light. Hopefully one of these matches. Oh, the concealer package. This is the cutest, tiniest thing ever. For example, the age rewind. Can you see? It's so cute. If it's good, I'm going to travel with this, because this is the most compact concealer package ever. It's so cute. So let's get into the foundation. You've probably seen this system. You need to switch and then there is a pump. Alright, the consistency, it is a bit runny, as you can see. I will use my Smashbox brush, which I always use with foundations. This is just my preferred application of foundations. Okay, first impression, immediate impression is that it has more coverage than I expected. And immediately it does apply differently than the previous Shiseido foundations. Both of the previous ones do take some time to apply before they kind of set, and the glowy version especially is really slippery at first. As This immediately kind of stuck to my skin and obviously is not going anywhere. So this is very different application, and I also noticed that I took a bit too much products to this side. Well, if you want more coverage, that's enough, but I usually don't. So this side is now the type of coverage I usually go for. In this side there's just a tiny bit too much. But there is coverage. This is closer to medium to full coverage. The previous ones are definitely more to the medium side. I'll take a little bit of more and build up my nose a bit. The application was really easy, and the shade is really good for me. I'm very happy with the shade. One thing I noticed immediately, and I'm so happy about it, is that it stuck to my nose immediately. And I usually have the problem that foundations don't stick to my nose. I really need to press them and work them into my nose, and for some reason the skin on my nose it's not foundation friendly. This stuck immediately, as with whole face, but especially with the nose I can really see the difference. The difference to the previous Shiseido foundations is like day and night. This applies so differently. It's not as luminous, of course, as the Synchro Glow version. There is a little bit of glow. This reminds me quite a lot of the new Guerlain, the L'Essential foundation. This is not as dry as it was, but the finish is quite similar. If this doesn't dry during the day, I'm going to really happy with this. The shade is great, it looks beautiful. There is exactly the amount of coverage I want if I want a fuller side of coverage. But let's get into the concealer. As I said, this is the shade Fair. Oh, the applicator is interesting. It's like, there you can see, it's like an hourglass shape. Interesting. And the formula is much more sticky as I expected. I'm so used to that these Korean, Japanese products have so much this kind of slip and glow that I expected this to be more something like for example, the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, but this is nothing like it. This has the same formula as the foundation, what comes to kind of that it sticks to the skin immediately. And you can really easily even it and blend it to your skin. It is a bit more kind of makeup-y, more full coverage than I usually go for. But if this is really long lasting, I think this might be the trusted one when I need something to hold on a long day. The shade is surprisingly yellow. Usually fair shades lean to the cool side, but this doesn't. Very interesting. Also today, for some reason, I have a little bit of puffiness on my under eye, which rarely happens. This happens only a few times a year, so it's a good day to test these new products, so if it helps or makes it worse. This brush, by the way, this is a Luxie large fluff brush, and it's so good blending these under eye concealers. I really like it. As I said, the concealer has the same finish than the foundation. There is a little bit of glow, but it's definitely not a glowy product, neither of these. These make a very blank, canvas in a sense that these don't differ. These are obviously kind of same product, but I really like how it looks, and now it feels that this is something that will last for a long time on my skin, but we'll see. I'm going to do some errands today. I'm going outside, it's snowy and cold, and then I'm going to do some work here at home. So there's a lot of different situations, so we'll see how it wears during the day. It's now 11 o'clock, so that's the check-in time. I will do check-ins during the day. I'll do the rest of my makeup now, and I'll shortly give some notions, if there is any, about how it will during the application of blush and everything. So I'll get back to that, and then you'll see how it wears during the day. Alright, we are back, and this is a lot of makeup day, as you can see. I just created this look for Instagram, so if you want to see the close-up of it, I'll link it below. But the foundation and the concealer, there is some thoughts. First, I did powder my nose and this under eye. I didn't powder this, just to see how the concealer wears during the day with powder and without. Everything else is without powder. I did apply cream plus this Shiseido kind of mousse whipped blush I really like. Notions, it does look a bit heavy, at least now. It's 1 hour since I applied this. It's might be bad news, it can be good news, depending how it wears. Also, I did use quite a lot of it, so it can be also that there's just too much product, but we'll see during the day. It does look really beautiful, and during when I did my makeup, many times I just stayed looking at my skin because it does look really beautiful. It does look makeupy for sure, but it looks really beautiful. Definitely an event makeup. If it lasts well during the day, this is a great one for long days. But we'll see. One notion also, the package wise, as you can see, the package, it is great that it turns like this, so you can lock the pump. But this little part here, it's annoying, and the makeup comes directly from it. So when I applied it, there was the little extra stayed there, and I'm sure that this is going to be so messy when you need to wipe that off, and I managed to wipe it all over here, and it's black and it was visible, and even with the first application I made it look really bad. But I just wish for somehow that this would kind of disappear somewhere. So, and when traveling, I'm pretty sure this gets stuck everywhere. So I'm not the biggest fan of this packaging, but still loving the foundation, the concealer package. This is just so handy, so handy, and it hasn't creased on me. Usually concealers does crease on me quite easily because, well, I'm 42. I have lines, but this hasn't on either side, so good news concealer wise. That's it. I will check in during the day how it wears and how it looks, and I might be using my eyeglasses today, might not, depending. If I do, we'll see how it wears during under the eyeglasses, but usually not so well. Let's check in now how it looks after a few hours. The foundation has been on now for 5 hours. It's 4 o'clock, 20 past 4, and everything is looking really good. I just checked from the mirror. I have minimal oiliness next to my nose, which always happens. At this point, it looks still really good. It's just slightly more glowy. Usually my chin starts to break at this point of day, and I can't see anything, and I didn't use any powder on my chin, which I usually do. There is that tacky feeling and a minimal transfer on my oilier areas, so I can already say if you have oily skin, this might not be for you. If you don't like transfer. But on my oily areas, it looks really beautiful. Also on my cheek, my forehead, everything looks really good. The heaviness has gone down. It's more skin-like, more, it's not natural looking, but it's more natural from the original. It did look a bit makeup-y, but it doesn't look makeup-y that much at this point. It is obvious, of course, but it's looking really beautiful. So is concealer. It looks exactly the same. It hasn't creased at all. I used a tiny bit of powder on this side and nothing on this side, and there is no difference. So even this one without powder has lasted really well. And what's surprising is that I have been wearing my glasses on, and these marks are really minimal compared to most of the foundations I use. So even the eyeglasses are liking this foundation, or otherwise, other way around. This foundation likes my eyeglasses or something. But definitely thumbs up so far. It's looking really, really good. So I'll have this on some hours more. I'll check in the evening again to see what's the situation then. But I have high hopes now with this one. It's looking really, really good. So I'll see you in a few seconds. It's now 8 o'clock in the evening, so the foundation has been on for 7 hours. Unfortunately, I'm not able today wear this any longer, but we do have some kind of obvious ways this foundation is going, because not much has happened since the last check-in. What has happened is I went out and I had a big scarf, so it has rubbed off from my chin, but really kind of in a nice way. It doesn't look any kind of harsh or anything. It's just kind of softer layer here. Everything else, there is slight, just a tiny bit of creasing on my forehead. Just a tiny bit of little more oiliness next to my nose. Of course, these eyeglasses, but otherwise everything looks really, really, really good. Also, my under eye, I have to say the concealer is a bit more dry than what I usually like. But when we remember the fact that it has not creased at all during the day without any powder, it is really good news. I really, really like how this foundation and the concealer looks at this point of the day. Again, I have to say that this is not for oily skin. I have dry skin, and I can see that on my dry areas it works beautifully. On my oily areas I would need to use a bit more maybe primer or a bit more powder or something, or just blot. But if you have very oily skin, this is not for you. But normal, dry, combo, mature skin, easily. But have to say also that this is makeup-y looking makeup. This is not thin, natural skin-like makeup. This is something that is visible that you have makeup on, but it's beautiful makeup. It is something that it's pleasant to see. It's not disturbing at all. It doesn't look dry or cakey at all. Nothing like that. It just looks like you have some cover. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Otherwise, I wouldn't know. Now I wish you have a great day and see you next time. Bye bye.